Alright, so after some struggling here, I managed to get the bulkhead in. Didn't have to remove the soft top motors or any of the brackets. You really got to squeeze it through that upper part of the triangle and push as hard as you can and try to like almost bend the bulkhead, and you have like just barely enough clearance to snap it behind this bar and then lower the thing. So, and it also pulls these wires very tight, so any extra inch you need to do was not going to go, but barely made it. So next thing I'm going to do, I got all the bolts. All the bolts are very accessible to tighten down the OEM bulkhead with the roll bar in there still, and you can still access the roll bar bolts up front. That's one thing I wasn't sure of. So you could probably put the bulkhead in first if you don't want to dick around with feeding it through the roll bar, and then putting the roll bar in after you put the bulkhead in. So next thing I'm going to do here is work on my interior. So this is going to mount to the OEM bulkhead still, and you're going to have to lose a little bit of the rear of the secret compartment. So I'm going to mark with a Sharpie how much I need to Dremel off there. And there's 2 threaded mounting holes you're going to lose. Can't remember exactly what they screw into or what screws into them, but going to lose a couple here and there. But with the OEM bulkhead, you're going to maintain a lot of the interior pieces firmly in the car. Alright, so we're back at it the next day here. We're making progress on the interior. I've learned you're going to have to trim a ton of stuff if you have the harness bar. And the reason I got the harness bar, and I'm not setting the car up for a harness right now, as you can see, is, I'm going to have this car forever. I plan to keep it forever, and if the rules change going forward, or if I change my mind and want to go full-blown race car on it, I will have that in there and won't have to weld in a piece down the road. So I have it there, but it's making it very difficult to attach the rear trunk tray and everything, because as you can see, this is the center, this is the secret compartment, and you have to notch out the secret compartment, but this panel, well, that panel that just fell off goes on the back of the secret compartment, and you have to cut off the bottom of it because all the mounting tabs for the rear tray that mate to that piece, and the rear roll hoops, like this piece down here, that tab and this tab, those go right where the harness bar is. So you're going to have to cut all of those off and come up with clever ways to secure everything. I don't know if you want to drill through holes and use zip ties or make sheet metal brackets on the inside and use fasteners and whatnot, but I may design some brackets and 3D print them, and use some brass threaded inserts, so there will be some hardware showing through the plastics, but if I get some nice looking fasteners, it won't look bad at all, I don't think. But yeah, it's been a lot more work than I anticipated to try to make this work with a double diagonal roll bar and the harness bar. I was about to order this roll bar without the harness bar, because I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to keep it stock seatbelt. But if any clubs change the rules, and there's already clubs out there, won't let you race with a race seat in a roll bar if you don't have a harness. But airbags in there, and slowly coming together here, but plastic shavings are everywhere, and it's becoming quite a mess. Alright, so this is the rear edge trim, rear thing the soft top folds down onto. I was trying to get away with having some of the tabs stay so that it would still mount in the OEM locations, but after a lot of fitting and readjusting, the harness bar pretty much runs straight through the center of this, so there's no way you're going to be able to keep any of the lip there that existed with the tabs. There's 4 tabs for 4 push pins there, but none of those are going to be able to be kept, so I cut them flat and put this edge trim piece on there. Now, the only way to really support this, and what I'm going to do here, is drill probably 4 holes. Probably I'll leave room for, if I do add a harness, for zip ties to wrap around the harness bar. So I'll probably do one here and space it over here, so that if I do go for a harness, I can wrap the harness around the bar still without interfering with my zip ties holding this up. So I'll probably do 1 on the edge, and then 2 towards the center more, and then 1 on this very edge. And this kind of are the corner cuts I had to make with the routing Dremel. This edge trim works well, but it won't go around like quick steps like that, so I'm probably going to have to leave that alone. Alright, so I got the driver's side plastics all ready to kind of bolt together here, and I just wanted to compare them and show you guys how they look compared to the passenger side, since they were a mirror image of each other before, and how much material I had to remove. these are the panels that go on the side. This is your fuel lever release right here, just to give you an idea of what you're looking at. But as you can see, I had to cut all this out, and I left the top on right there. So this piece, pretty much you're cutting all of this away. Nothing really on the bottom, that's the only thing that needs to get cut there, but these really take a long time. That's just a look at the cut between the two there. You know, I hacked off, this piece used to come all the way down from the rear. That's all hacked off. You could probably do it a cleaner way. It was tough when I was trying to fit the stuff in the car and it kind of screwed up, but this I should have left kind of angling down more. Kind of creates an awkward angle there, but once I put the edge trim on it, it may look just fine. Of course, I cut through completely on the front of this so that you can slide this through the roll bar, and the diagonal will go right through there. I'm going to put edge trim around this as well. And you can see on the rear, I cut all the tabs off the bottom. See how many tabs are on this one. Cut those all off. And you know, put a radius on the inside back there. Bar. Just a comparison looking at that one. And you know, lots of work, but you can retain a lot of stock mounting points if you're using the OEM bulkhead still. Like these two up front, I'm still going to be able to screw to the car. Of course, the two on, or the one on each one of these sides on the top that go to the center console or the rear secret compartment. And of course, the piece that goes in between these, I had to cut the bottom off that too and get rid of the tabs, so this will sit above the roll bar. Had to do this little wonky cutout here with the Dremel to clear where the roll bar joins together in the rear. But my plan is to take this aluminum rod here. This is a 1/2 inch by 1/8 inch thick piece of flat stock from Home Depot, and I'm going to cut off sections that are probably 1.5 inches long. Just got a little vise to make some bends in it. I'm going to drill and tap some 632 stainless steel screws through each side of this. Kind of put 1/2 secure to probably the front side of the roll hoop to start, and then, you know, match drill it on the back, and then have the fasteners exposed. I wish there was like a black stainless steel available, and maybe there is, but I know there's black oxide, but if the black oxide gets wet, it will rust, so it'll look like crap after a little bit. So I'm going to go with the, you know, the shiny stainless steel, see how it looks. They're very small fasteners, but if I do it right, I don't think it'll look too bad. Alright guys, so I'm getting ready to put the roll hoops back in the car, and I'm prepping them before I put the edge trim on. Now this is what I'm doing to hold them together, as opposed to trying to glue them together when they're on the car. But I'm using a little vise here, and using some vise grips and putting strategic bends in them so that they line up flat with the contours on the inside of the roll hoops. And what I'm doing to punch through and get my center points for drilling is I'm heating up the end of a little picker tool from Harbor Freight to the point where it's really hot, and I'm just touching it in the center of my holes when I drill the holes on this bracket, and it kind of pierces right through the plastic. And then I drill it out to a clearance hole and go ahead and install the 632 stainless steel screws. So this is what they look like on the inside, and I've done one so far. The threads line up perfectly when it's squeezed together, so all I got to do is, you know, pop this apart, and when it's apart, this is the passenger side one I did. They're just going to have tabs right there. I'm thinking I'm going to do 3 brackets, and I'm going to keep them all on the inside so you don't see anything on the outside. I'm going to do one right here, and that's done, and I'm going to do a second one right inside there. So the third one I'll do inside this edge right here to brace the 2 top pieces together, and I think that may be enough to pull the top together. I'll find out more when I get into the car, but I got the passenger side all in, no glue used, and it's all secure. And I'm just finishing up the driver side, which is a mirror image of that. I'll show you quick what I got here for a final product. You know, I have on the back piece of each, the passenger and the driver's side, the back roll hoop piece, I have 1 tab sticking out that's permanently fixed using blue Loctite and some silicone glue behind the bracket to preserve orientation on the back. And there's 2 clearance holes on the back piece. And then on the front piece, there's 1 clearance hole right here. And there is 2 brackets sticking off that are glued in there and blue Loctite on there. It's the best combination I could come up with, and they're spaced evenly apart so it forms like a triangle to brace the inside of the roll hoop. So as you can see on the passenger side here, it is perfectly tight together. I used the Advanced Auto Parts edge trim all the way around and trimmed it very nicely with some very fine cutters to get it to mate correctly to each other. You know, it zigzags around the bottom there, clears the roll hoop in the bottom, clears the center bar there, the diagonal, and when the diagonal passes through there, pretty smooth transition. Looks pretty clean with the edge trim around all the cuts. That came out pretty well too. And gonna go ahead and install the driver's side now. So I'm struggling a little bit with the driver's side, and I think it's because the thickness the edge trim added to the roll bar is giving me a little bit of trouble right now, and I'm trying to push this up. I can't get this section high enough to align with the secret compartment tabs there. So I may have to take this off and Dremel it down a little more. You know, at first this one had way more clearance than I liked, but when I put the edge trim on, it came out very clean. So probably gonna have to tweak this one a little bit. Alright, so actually no trimming was actually required. I just had to get the tab on top of the center console and to get this behind the tab right here in order for it to sit in there. And now it's pretty captive in there. The tab I'm talking about is, if you look in there, you just gotta set the heights there correctly. And from the back side, make sure you're in between this and the bottom piece. And pretty much ready to take your back piece now and slide it in just like this. Alright, so set your back piece in here, get it on top of that tab down there, and align it correctly with your roll hoop here. And there you go. It's on there. It's ready to insert our 632 screws. This is where they will be. You know, one's going to be right there. The second one's down here. There's the hole for it. And then the third one is right on the other side over here. You get to it from the front. So pretty excited to finally put this back together. Finally, after a couple more hours and some more Dremel work, and I made another set of brackets. Everything's in there like a glove. I ran into an issue with this section down here separating from itself when these 4 bolts were tightened down on the top of the secret compartment. Those bolts I'm talking about are these 4 right here on the top. Right there. Flat heads. So when I tightened them down, it kind of separated this. So I made a couple new brackets there with you can see the button head screws sticking through. And then that one is very close to the wind deflector on each side. And that seemed to close everything up. Of course, there's no glue used here. Everything's pretty solid. I'm trying to shake it right now. And pretty much almost every OEM fastener is used to still hold these on. I got the 2 Phillips head screws connected to the bulkhead here. There's the Phillips head screw that connects to the center console there. And the 4 on top, 2 for each side. And next we're going to be able to put the panels back on and put the trim piece back on the side. But, you know, I still got the screw in the center of the center console, and pretty excited about how this looks and how it turned out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And, yeah, I'm just super excited about getting this thing done, and it really looks great with the edge trim around the roll hoop there. Then you go down into that one there, and then, you know, if you do it and you spend the time to do it right, it takes forever, but it's going to be worth it in the end. Alright, so before I throw this OEM passenger seat back in the car, I wanted to show you guys a completed look at the interior. Nice close-up of the roll bar coming between there, in between the roll hoops, there, and then straight through the center. I'll show you behind too. See if I can get this light going, get a little better lighting for you. And of course, you know, I have all the panels, including the tray underneath the soft top installed. Got this edge trim all the way around, zigzagging around down there. Center section, everything's completely solid in here. Of course, it's a mirror image on the passenger side. Here's a close-up again of the bar. And yeah, I mean, this is a good perspective to see how much further forward the roll bar sits compared to the OEM roll hoop. So you will lose a little bit of, you know, functionality with how far your seat can go back. You know, usually the seat will sit pretty much flush with here and your head will be in front of it. So we'll see how that looks when I get the seat in the car. I'm going to put the OEM one in first, and then I have the Recaro to go back in the driver's side here. Alright guys, so here's a look at it with the seats back in. The driver's side seat right now is a little loose. It's just sitting kind of where it should be. But the aftermarket seats really work so much better with the roll bar than the stock seats. That's as far back as you can get the stock seat because the bulkiness of it hits the roll bar on that side. So I'll take you over here and just show you the interference. It's the edge of the leather, you know, seat right here. If you try to recline any more than this, and you know, from the factory, this could touch here, and there's a solid probably 3 or 4 inches between there now. So if there's a taller passenger riding in the car, they're going to be awkwardly tall and high-headed in the car, and probably their head might be over the roll hoop. I'm sure mine is probably close in this seating position, so it's not ideal. This is really going to push me to, you know, probably buy a matching aftermarket seat and run the OEM seatbelt the same way on the passenger side, just to save a little more weight and to, you know, have it just look like it's meant to fit in the car. This right now looks a little goofy to me. I definitely wanted to keep the OEM seat for riding around town because my wife likes to ride in the car, and she's a lot shorter than me, obviously, so I'm sure the seating position won't bother her. But I may just buy a matching seat, and I have a Sparco QRTR that I'm going to test fit in comparison to the pole position and order 2 of those QRTRs if I like them better than the pole position. If not, I'll sell it. I have one brand new in the box, and that's going to be a future video, so stay tuned for that. But the you know, Recaro pole position contours just inside, very nicely inside the roll bar, so you can still slide pretty much just as far back as you could before, and be still very, very low in the car. Of course, your helmet will be kind of nested in here if you do decide to race like this, but I do have the high density padding and the leather wrapping around this, so it does have some impact resistance. Of course, I have an SA 2015 Snell approved helmet, but the padding will definitely help when driving on the streets in court in case there's any collision or anything to smack your head on. Of course, it's not ideal, but it's a lot safer than alternatives. You know, stock airbags still in here, but this is how it all looks with the OEM interior fitted back in the car. I'll have some better video footage when I get this thing running and get it in the daylight. But for now, let me know what you guys think. Definitely leave a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks, guys.